tribal. My tongue deceives me. It might not be to everybody's taste to watch these ladies because they're dishabille, I mean, and they're not all beautiful.
But Tim, they're having a great time, and I have a picture of the one for you if anyone wants to see.
So we know where our librarian spends her time. Anyway, it seems to me the Bryses of all the new people in the new business have understood our little peninsula, which I always say is we're basically an island people. You're in everybody's backyard sometime or other, and so they, I think, have blended in and made the transition with grace and profit. So we're glad to welcome them. Yes, Grace.
I thought you wanted the state capitol. No.
That was, she was passing her tasting tower at the winery.
Well, my grandson just got married at 45th Parallel, the winery over there, and they have a little stand, and it's very lovely. Do you do the same thing? Do you have people come and get married?
No.
But I can do that. I have a certificate.
Yeah, we're not allowed
I've done 4
to.
weddings.
We're not allowed
to?
No.
You're not? Who said?
What would not allow you
The
to?
township?
Yeah. That's part of your whole.
They want them to live in, they want them to live in sin?
Not our choice, so.
That's off, I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, they evidently plan for it, and it's it's
Yeah.
out in the middle of the vineyard, but it's a stand and things with the
Yeah.
part of it.
We get many questions about that.
I'll bet you do.
Yeah, at the Lavender Garden Farm and the winery. But yeah, so that's that.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, the Bryses didn't bring it with them.
Yeah.
I guess the show's over
your
now.
Tim's.
We have to,
A while.
Will you text me that?
so, the next talk with Tim hasn't been determined exactly yet, but it will be the last one of the season with Tim, although we're looking for substitutes who know the peninsula very well that might come and carry on. But Tim has to go to warmer weather by the end of next month. But there will be one, it's the 3rd Tuesday of November, and somebody has told me what it's going to be, but I'm losing a little of my short-term memory.
So was there a connection then between the painter and Brys then?
Between
The painter, the Hofmeister, what was her name? What was her
Mona
name?
Hoffman. She's no relation to anything except she was a best friend of Ivy.
Okay.
And then the tragic story of 6 of her, I presume, best paintings, because they were great girl pals, went to the dump.
Okay.
Now they may have had more than chips in them because the house was in pretty much disrepair. Although I'm missing a whole chapter from the time that Rudy died, and what was his boy's name? Frankie must have owned it for a while, and then he sold it to the Elzers, as I understand. And did you buy it from the Elzers?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I don't think they used the house at all. They just used the orchards. I don't think anybody lived in.
It was rented.
Was it rented? Okay.
Had the house been continually occupied, or was there a period where it was not?
Well, certainly this picture looks totally.
I know. That's why.
Oh, it was rented like that.
It was rented like that.
Yeah, I met the lady.
Whoa.
The lady who was renting it, or the lady who owned?
Yeah, that was rented.
What did she look like?
I don't know.
She must have been cold.
No, she had a family.
A witch.
And there was a walkabout upstairs.
Oh, now you're talking.
She has all the good stuff.
But you preferred the house trailer.
Yeah, it was very nice and clean.
Actually, my sister Colleen and I met your husband. I retired 20 years ago, and I think it was, what was your first winter here? Was it 2002?
Maybe 2001.
2001. I retired the last day of 2001, came back in Valentine's Day, and there'd been a lovely snow, and the sun was out, So Colleen and I walked from our house down to East Bay, and we were coming back, and there was a guy in a pickup truck with his window down, sort of sitting at the driveway, going to go on to Blue Water Road. But somehow he saw us coming, and we was looking at him, and so we went up and we leaned first on this side talking, and then we leaned on this side talking. He didn't invite us into the pickup truck, but he didn't know who we were. But honestly, we couldn't stop talking. We had an hour chatting with Walt, and that was the beginning of the whole episode.
I have one more question. So my best friend once lived at the end of Cherry Hill, which is now the farm at Cherry Hill. And I think of that as the Giles, because Rudy Giles rented that house to them, but was that just like another section of land that he owned? Because his main farm was
No,
down.
no, that's all Rudy owned his whole adult life until Elmer Brown died.
Okay.
And see, that was the name of it, wasn't it? Cherry. In fact, that's the name of the road
That's
now,
the name
isn't
of
it?
the road and their farm now, yeah.
Yeah, and it was is that house still the same shape it was when I was a kid?
I think so. I think it's just been restored.
Bethany Beadle lived there?
Yeah, Bethany, she was my best friend, yeah.
This
Kathy
report that
Giles
I,
was my
this
babysitter.
report I got from Kathy Giles Schwartz.
This was the baby girl of Rudy's.
She
Yeah.
said that Elmer died in 1964, and then Rudy, who had been living in the other location,
Right.
remodeled the house and moved his family there. And then in 74, he passed away. So 10 years they were there.
So that,
They were on the Cherry Hill,
I
at Cherry
believe
Hill
that's
House.
where Rudy was before he
yeah,
moved
that
in.
was that had
Okay.
Rudy got that through the Gileses, because I mean I think he and Elmer were friendly, but Elmer never did anything for him financially or farming wise. I mean, I think they were quite two separate things. At least that's my memory of it. Because Rudy was always taking care of his farm. Rudy and Irene used to play poker with Mom and Dad, I know. That was one of the crowd that did that. Lots. And Mrs. Rudy Giles, Irene, as I mentioned, was Isidore Lardy's daughter, and he had about 10 kids and was my grandparents' age, and he had a big house right where the fire engine house is, just north of the fire engine house at Mapleton. Because he was one of the guys that built the first fire truck, and back right after World War II. And it went to Walter Labatt's barn, but the pump didn't work, and we watched the barn burn to the ground. But we improved the pump, but poor Walter Labatt, the barn was gone. Yeah.
What was on the
How
farm?
are you doing?
What was it, Jerry?
What are we doing?
Nothing. They had, the Elsers had decided they didn't want to farm cherries, so they ripped all the trees out. They were all over the property in big
We're gonna
stacks.
go to Rob's
Death
Street.
trees.
Oh, they dug them up and had them burnt.
We didn't even get it.
They didn't burn them, they just left piles.
At least you didn't have to pull them off.
They were all out.
Good.
Well, the Elsers came, they were a new family in the maybe 60s. I didn't know. They bought up a lot of property, didn't they, on the peninsula?
I'm so excited watching people's mouths.
Anyway.
So what was your, what brought you to the peninsula? What made you come here?
Well, we had looked for 2 years in all these different places around the country for a spot that we wanted to plant grapes. And we were from Detroit originally, so we knew about this area. And when we came here, it had, all that we were looking for, so,
Were there any vineyards by that time?
yeah.
Because Chateau Chantal had been here a while.
Yeah,
hasn't
we
it?
were number 5.
Really? Really? And see, I was gone from about 1960 to 2010, except for Homemade, so it's all new to me.
And then the Secret Garden, what made you decide to open that?
Well, the parcel of land that it's on is very low, and it wouldn't be suitable for growing grapes.
Okay.
So we used to go down there all the time, my husband and I, and just look at it, and we really loved it because it was so kind of secluded down there. And the trees are beautiful in the fall. And so we said, well, we had seen lavender growing in France with the vines together, so we said, let's try it. And we tried it, and
Oh, it's beautiful.
they're a little finicky, but they work.
And you have about 4,000 products now. I mean,
4,000 plants.
Yes,
5,000.
we have 6,000 plants. We also have strawberries spray-free, so a lot of kids come down and pick those. And then we have an herb garden with peppermint, sage, and lemon balm that people can cut. And then we have a flower garden that goes all summer into fall that just has all types of different cut flowers for people.
huh.
And then we distill the lavender for essential oil, we distill peppermint for essential oil, sage and lemon balm. So we get not only essential oil, but hydrosol, which is a byproduct of, it's like distilled water with essential oil in it that can be used for a multitude of things. And then, of course, we dry all the lavender, hand harvest, and then dry it upside down for about 6 weeks in the barn down there, and then debud it, and then sew products all through the winter. And then all the body products that are for sale down there have all some of our oil in them.
Well, you're
That
not
we
just a
make.
pretty face.
So,
And
so we're trying to farm it and create something for people to come and enjoy and
Yeah.
with their family.
and people can buy online as well.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
We have an online store.
Well, in case you wonder, the heir to it all is young Aiden here. And as far as I know, the only heir, so he's looking pretty good. If you have any granddaughters, check it out.
I'm here until the 23rd.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming.
Thank you, Tim.
Sister Michelle, round of applause.
Michelle, I just have a question. Where do you have your painting hanging?
Hey, kid.
Where do you have
Hey.
your painting hanging?
How's it going?
Where in your house?
How are you doing?
Out of the sun.
Great.
So are you?
Yeah, and that's hard because we're kind of like a terrarium. So, I know that I think John checked and it could be restored in Grand Rapids.
I don't think you can mess with it.
You know, the
I don't know.
county, the county had one of
Because
her paintings
look at-
above the
you have made
fireplace
beautiful
out at
again. You
Twin
know, I
Bay.
applaud you because
It's
it's heartbreaking
disappeared.
when things like
Oh.
a simple picture is in ruin or on the way to ruin. And, you know, some of us just don't have the knowledge to go forward with having something done. We've been talking about this, getting it done for, I don't know, 40 years.
And meanwhile, though, the technology is improving incredibly well. I mean, the Smithsonian people have done work that would just astonish everybody. But one of the problems with getting the grime off of it, it totally changes the feeling that you're used to. So, I mean, it's kind of like a facelift, you know. Oh,
Do you have two paintings or just the one?
Oh, I have only the one oil.
Uh-huh.
The one, do you remember the one,
I
Mom?
really don't remember.
And I don't, it's not a watercolor. I'll have to, I've got it hidden.
Ask
in
her
our-
if she trusts
It's
me.
it's in our bedroom. Oh dear, no, he knows.
In fact, if you have any empty closets, just visit her anytime. She's always got something for you to take home. I'm the opposite.
But now I wish I would have brought it simply because you seem somewhat interested. Because it's a whole different thing. It's birds and dragonflies and there's like a little fairy person in it.
Really?
I mean, it's a whole different dimension.
Maybe she was on marijuana.
It wasn't just cherries they were.
That's what was in the lower field.
I just looked her up online on my phone, and rumor says that she sold her first painting to Clara Ford, Henry Ford's wife's brother.
And that makes perfect sense.
right, it does.
For
Henry Ford's-
$1?
$1.
Oh.
Henry Ford's sister was married to a local guy, and that's where Bryant Park came from. And Traverse City was the first dealership outside of the Ford company for cars because Henry had bought the island in the middle of West Bay, and he came to visit his sister every summer, and the rest is history.
So cool.
Interesting connections to our little town. And in fact, the Carmelite monastery used to be across from Bryant Park, and my mother had quite a devotion to the Carmelites. So every Wednesday when she took Grandma Carol to town for groceries, because it was double blue stamp day, they would stop and leave off little bits of groceries and stuff, and happily the Carmelites moved out of sight up Copper Ridgeway, and so I don't feel guilty going by that house anymore. But you need anything else?
I'd like to thank you all for coming. Tim is a delight, and those of you who shared stories, the Brys, Tim's sisters. I told Tim's sisters that we need to have them do a program just telling us stories about Tim.
Yeah.
They get a whole different perspective.
Yeah.
Well, don't miss it, because when Colleen was 16 and Michelle was 19, I took them to Europe for their first trip. I had lived there for a year, and I'd been there 3 other times.
A whole summer.
A whole summer, and I'll talk about girls that got up to no good when their brother wasn't looking with those two. But it was an unforgettable trip.
Oh.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Enjoy the day. It's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
I would